Good evening. Thank you for joining us for Reach for the Stars, Algebra 1 EOC Practice, questions 23 to 44. We will not do all of the questions in this set. Some of them involve using set theory, things like Venn diagrams, intersections, unions. Those are not part of the Louisiana standards. I'd also like to thank Miami-Dade School District in Florida. They were the ones who developed that practice test. It's a good practice test. It's probably slightly easier than the one that we're going to have in Louisiana, but it does cover a lot of our concepts. Later on this week, we'll do one slightly more challenging than probably the one we'll have in Louisiana. I'd also like to welcome all of our viewers from the rest of Livingston Parish. I hope that you are also working on your EOC. I know it's the end of school and we're all excited about summer. A lot of you are in driver's ed, and that's exciting too. But thank you for sticking with Algebra 1, and thank you for working to the very end. I know that whenever you take your Algebra 1 EOC, it's going to pay off for you, and you're going to be so glad you worked hard. Let's get started with question 23. What we've got here is we've got, a mechanic, and the repair bill was $67.50. If we look at this scale, it looks like they're counting by 25s. From 50 to 75 is 25. Half of that will be $12.50. So this is $62.50 here. So $62.50 was here. Okay, so this would be about 65. There's about where $67.50 is. Okay, and we want to know what that is. Okay, and whenever we look at these and look at the choices, that might be closer to $70. I'm going to move that dot down a little bit to probably here. I think that probably that's where, about right in there. Okay, and if we look at the way that they're doing the time, okay, that's an hour, so this would be 2 hours and 2 1/4 hours. This would be 2.5 hours. This would be 2 3/4 hours. So it looks to me like between 2.5 hours and 2 3/4 hours is where that answer would be. So I'm going to go with D on that one. Okay, this one. Okay, her car gets between 25 and 30 miles to the gallon. Holds 15. What's the least number of miles she can drive? Well, the tank holds 15 gallons. And the least amount of miles per gallon is 25. So I'm going to do that one. Once again, we are expected to be able to do some simple arithmetic operations on the EOC. So we should be able to multiply that without a calculator. And that would be the answer. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, there's a flat rental fee. That looks like a rate of change. Let's see, no, let's see, flat rental fee. That looks like a y-intercept. The charge for each mile is your rate of change. So we're talking a linear relationship here. So we are looking for a linear relationship. We're going to need to know this before we find that flat rental fee, which is going to be the y-intercept. We know that whenever we solve for a linear equation, the first thing we always do is find the rate of change. And then we look at our variables. We need to decide what is the dependent variable and the independent variable. Remember, x is always the independent variable, y is the dependent. And it looks to me like the cost depends on the miles. So this is the ordered pair 9715, and the miles is 107. Okay, and then this van, it costs $106.15 to drive that 127. Okay, so we need to find the rate of change, and we know that is the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we're going to plug these numbers in. We'll call this x from the first, y from the first, this x from the second, y second. So y second is 106.15 minus y first, 97.15. Okay, and if you subtract that, you get 9. And then if you subtract these, you have 127 minus 107, and that's 9/20. Okay, and probably this will be a calculator question since you've got these decimals. All right, and if you click that in your calculator, you are going to get 0.45. So your rate of change is 0.45. In other words, for every mile that you drive that rental vehicle, you will pay 45 cents per mile. We still need to find the y-intercept, which is what they want to know. Okay. We also need to know that since this is slope-intercept form, this is y equal mx plus b. We're looking for b. So the second part of our problem is we need to do this. We just found out that m was 0.45. What we do is we take one of these ordered pairs. I'll take the one that has the easiest numbers. And we're going to plug in 107 for x, 97.15 for y. And we're looking for plus b. So on your calculator, you'll need to multiply those. I'm going to pull my calculator up. Sorry, it'll take a second to come up. Clear out any old stuff in your calculator. Okay, and we're going to multiply 107 times 0.45, and that's 48.15, plus b equal 97.15. Subtract 48.15. And when we subtract that, okay, we get 49. So what this is saying is they're going to charge to rent this vehicle 45 cents per mile that you drive it, plus the day that you go to rent the vehicle, you're going to have to pay $49, okay, just to rent the vehicle as a flat fee before you even put it on the road. So that is the flat fee we're talking about. It's like the y-intercept, so D is our answer. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, she bought twice as many pillowcases for $2 each as sheets for $5 each. When you are solving a word problem, we have a choice between letting P be pillowcases, S be sheets. Okay, you always let the variable be the one that is the least. She's buying fewer sheets than pillowcases. So we need to let S be the number of sheets. She's buying twice as many pillowcases, so we need to let 2S be the number of pillowcases. Now we can make our equation. Okay, the pillowcases are $2 each. So they're $2 and she's buying 2S of them. Okay, and then the sheets, that's S, cost $5 each. So 5S represents the money that she's going to spend on sheets. And she's going to spend less than $40. So we need to solve this inequality to find out the maximum number of pillowcases. Well, first of all, we have to solve this for S. So what we're going to do is 2S plus 5S is 7S. I'm sorry, that's 9S. That's less than 40. Divide by 9. S is less than, 9 goes into 40 4 times because 4 times 9 is 36. 3/9. Okay, so at most she can buy 4 sheets. I don't think they're going to tear one and let her have 3/9 of a sheet. Okay, let's see, that's 4/9. 4 times 9 is 36 plus 4 is 40. Okay, but 4 sheets is the most she can get. That means 8 is the most number of pillowcases that she could get. So D8 would be the answer. Okay, we want to solve the system and we want to find the value of y. Remember, when we're solving systems of equations, we have 2 equations and 2 variables. What we're going to have to do is multiply one or both equations by a number to temporarily eliminate one of the variables so that we can find the other. Since they want to know what y is, we're going to eliminate the x's. And what we're going to do is think now, 3 times 4 is 12. So we need one of these to say positive 12x, the other one to say negative 12x. So let's multiply the top equation by positive 4. And we're going to multiply the bottom equation by negative 3. So let's go ahead and solve. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 2y is minus 8y. 4 times 12 is 48. Now let's do this one. Negative 3 times 4x is negative 12x. Negative 3 times negative y is plus 3y. Negative 3 times 11 is negative 33. Now that we have positive 12x and negative 12x, we can go ahead and use the addition method and combine those. They cancel temporarily. And we go ahead and add these two, and that gives us negative 5y is equal to 15. Divide both sides by negative 5, and we get y equal to negative 3. At this point, I would move on to the next problem, but it could be they might want you to solve the whole system. If they want you to solve for x also, remember you go back to one of the original equations, whichever one looks the easiest to you. I think I'm going to go with this one. Plug in what you just found out about y. That's subtracting a negative. That would be a positive. So we have 4x plus 3 equals 11. Subtract 3, and we get 4x equal to 8. Divide by 4, and x is 2. So if they did ask for the value of x, that answer would be 2. If you were to graph those two lines, they would intersect at the point 2, negative 3. It could be on the EOC, they'll ask you for the solution of the system, which would be this whole thing here. You'd have to give the x value and the y value. Okay, area of a parallelogram is this much. This whole area in here is 35 P6 Q6. And the base of the parallelogram, that's just that much, measures 5 P Q to the second. Okay, they want to know what is the height. Well, first of all, we have to remember from middle school the formula for the area of a parallelogram. That's the height. Base, remember the area of a parallelogram is base times height. Well, they're giving you the area, and they want to know the height. So if we do area divided by the base, that will give us the height. So what we're going to need to do is divide okay, and when we do our division, 5 goes into itself once, into 35 7 times. So we'll have a 7. And remember our rules for exponents. When we are dividing like bases, we subtract the exponents. So that would be p to the 5th. And subtracting there, that would be q to the 4th. So the answer would be A. Here is another problem. We have a square this time. And we know a square is all sides are equal. One side is this. Same here. And we know the way we find the area of any rectangle, including a square, is to multiply the length times the width. So we're going to multiply these two things. And we have to remember our rule for multiplying. When we are multiplying, 4 times 4 is 16. When we are multiplying like bases, we add the exponents. And the exponents here are 1, so that'll be y second. Z, 4 plus 4 is 8. Okay, so our answer is going to be C. Another way you could think about this is, remember there's an old formula for the area of a square. It's a side times itself, or a side squared. You could have also worked this problem by taking that side and squaring it. 4 to the second is still 4 times 4 is 16. But remember, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply. So that'd be x to the 6th, y second, z 8th. So you see, you still get the same answer with a little bit less writing. Okay. All right. Julia estimated that it would take her 4 hours to write a 4-page report. Okay, and it actually only took 38 minutes to write the first page of the report. Well, first of all, we're talking hours and minutes here. Probably the best thing to do is to go ahead and use the same units. 4 hours, that would be 4 times 60. Sorry, 4 times 60. Okay, so it would take her she estimated that it would take 240 minutes. But actually, it took 38 as her rate of change. So if we multiply that times 4, she's able to do those other pages the same amount. It'll only take 152. So her overestimate would be 240 minus 152. Subtract. And we get 180, we get 88 minutes. And we know that 60 minutes are in an hour, so that's going to be the same thing as 1 hour, 28 minutes. So A is the answer. Okay, here a student has made a mistake solving an equation, and they want to know where did the student make their mistake. Well, first of all, we know we begin this by distributing 3 times 2x is 6x. They did that right. 3 times 6. Oh, look, they forgot to multiply 3 times 6. They made their mistake right there. That should be an 18 instead of a 6. Okay, and so if we look at the choices, step 1, they should have did that distributive property first. So A would be the answer. Okay, they want to simplify this. We have a choice between multiply and divide. Remember, when you are doing rational expressions, the numerator and the denominator, if there's more than one equation, they're like a grouping symbol. So we need to do the numerator first. 2 times 8 is 16. We are multiplying like bases, so we add the exponents, x to the 8 over 4x to the 6th. Now we divide. 16 divided by 4 is 4. We know that when we are dividing exponents, we subtract, so that'd be x to the 2nd, so the answer would be C. Okay, if we look at this one, we know that if we distribute 8 times x, we get that, and 8 times y is that. And what they've done here is they've done kind of the opposite of distributive. Okay, they factored out an a in common. A times x is ax, a times y is ay. They factored out a greatest common factor. But we know that factoring out greatest common factor is the same thing as distributive. So distributive is the answer. Okay, we have another system here. 5 adults plus 2 student tickets cost $48. 3 adults plus 2 student tickets cost $32. They want the cost for an adult ticket, which is going to be X represents the adults. We need to temporarily eliminate the students. So what we need to do is think. If one of those was positive 2 and one were negative 2, then we can add those and get rid of the student variable and find what they're looking for. So I'm only going to multiply the top equation by negative 1. That will give us negative 5x minus 2y equal to negative 48. I'm going to leave the bottom equation just like it is. Now we can add these together, and this time when you do the addition method, you eliminate the students because they're interested in the adults, and that's going to give you negative 2x equal to negative 16. Divide by negative 2, and you get x equal to 8. So an adult ticket costs $8. If you wanted to find the price of a student ticket, you would go back and plug that into one of the equations and solve for y. Which inequality is represented by this graph? And we have those choices. They're already all solved for y. They've all got less than. That makes sense because they've shaded down. We know that whenever you've got y on that side by itself, less than means shade down. Let's look at slopes and y-intercepts. The y-intercept looks like it's 1. But look, all of them have a y-intercept of 1. So that didn't help us. Let's find the slope. We go down 2 to the right 1. So our slope is negative 2 over 1, or negative 2. And if we look at these choices, this is the one that has a slope of negative 2. So B would be the answer. Number 44. Okay, is this equivalent? So if we distribute, that's 6x. That is negative 12 equal to negative 18. Yes, that is equivalent because we distributed. Okay. All right, that concludes this part of our program. Thank you for watching, and thank you for working so hard on your EOC. Keep working hard. It's just a few weeks left, and then we're going to have a great summer. Hope you have a nice evening. Thank you for watching again. Please subscribe.